The photography course at Gulf Shores Middle School was a wonderful way for our students to learn some of the rules of composition that are important for making a great photo. During the course, we also talked about portrait photography some, we talked about lighting, and we took a lot of photo walks into the state park where the students got to enjoy nature and enjoy taking pictures of things around them. The first thing we talked about was composition. And in composition, we talked about how important it was for the subject to look into the photograph and not out of the photograph. You can see examples of that here where I have pictures of my son when he was a little guy looking into the photograph versus pictures of my niece when she was a little thing looking out of the photograph. And it's pretty clear that there's a difference in how good a quality the photos are going to be. Graham Wooten made some great examples of this with a cat. That is actually my cat, Tilly. We found Tilly when we were doing one of our photo walks. On one shot, Tilly's looking into the photograph, very powerful photo. And then in another shot, it's just a side shot of Tilly. She's not looking at the camera. And I think you can see the big difference between the quality of the images that you see in both of them. Hampton also did similar photographs where on the left side, you can see the dinosaur is on the right side of the photo looking into the photo versus Tilly, who, yeah, it's a fuzzy animal, but beyond that, you can't really tell what's going on. Sophia also made a great example of this when she took pictures of Jenny on one of our photo walks. The photo on the left, Jenny's looking into the photo, while on the right, she's looking out of it. Sometimes in photography, you just have to break the rules, and you can see that taking place here in a picture of a much younger version of me with my son. We are looking out of the photo, our back is to the image, but it still makes a wonderful image of him looking at his mama's favorite animal. The next concept is how important it is to have a strong center of interest. Warm colors draw your eyes in, and it's important that your story tells one story. Your image only tells one story well. You can see some good examples of that with this flower that was taken by Harley Barnhill. All you really see is a flower. That nice warm tone really draws your eyes in. Keep going from there. You can see the similar things with the berries that Jenny Sunday took pictures of. And check out this strong center of interest by Kai Schultz. There's no doubt what the story is going on here. That big red Christmas ornament right in the middle of that pond. One of the big ticket items in photography's composition is talking about your rule of thirds. And in the rule of thirds, what you do is you cut your photograph up into a tic-tac-toe board like you see here. Your subject is in place at one of the four intersections of the tic-tac-toe board. This is a really important concept for students to master because it will truly make your photos much, much better. Adeline Collins did a great job of this with a picture she took of Callie, and you can see Callie is pretty much at her face is right there, that top left intersection of the tic-tac-toe board. Great example of what the rule of thirds should look like. The same thing here with Kai Schultz. His tree, good example of where the rule of thirds plays. Choosing the best camera angle is another really important concept you need to work on. For that, one of the things you got to remember is that when you're taking pictures of kids, you got to get down on their angle. You also need to be aware of your horizon. You have a low horizon in this photograph, which gives you a sense of depth and distance. Meanwhile, in the next photograph, you've got a very high horizon, and in this high horizon, you've got a sense of closeness and intimacy. It really makes a big difference where your horizon is to how the photograph feels. You never ever want to do a middle horizon unless, of course, you have a reflection, like I have this one at Big Jim Folsom Pond. Beautiful reflection of the city of Gulf Shores in the background, and that is the only time you really want to have your horizon in the center of your photograph. Some good examples of best camera angle here. Adeline Collins made a really cool photograph looking up the ladder towards my kid's old tree fort. And then if we look a little further, Hampton Howard has a really cool angle on this toy gorilla that he used to set up a good camera angle. Another really important concept in photography is to get close to your subject. However close you think you are, it's probably not going to be close enough. Here you can see the photo on the right has a bulldozer far away, while the photo on the left really gets close and shows you the details of what's a part of that photograph. The students did a pretty good job of that. You can see here that Graham got really close to this praying mantis. They're really cool, but they're not very nice to their husbands. They will literally eat their husbands' heads off. And then you can see another great photo by Harley where she got really close to the center of this beautiful flower. Really filled the frame with it. Leading lines is a really difficult concept, and you can see it in the arrow in the photo on the left. The line of that arrow leads your eyes into the subject of the photograph. Kai Schultz did a nice job on this one when he took a picture of, it looks like inside a teepee, and you can see here the lines of the post of the teepee lead your eyes up into the distance. Leading lines is a really hard one to work on. An easy one to fix though is watching your background. Here's a horrible picture I took of my oldest son when he was little with something growing out of the back of his head. You always want to make sure you're aware of your background and the effect it's having on your photo. A great way to get a good background if you're in a tough situation is to take a knee, aim up at the sky, and the sky is going to make a wonderful background for your photograph. Jenny Sunday did a good job here using a doll of where you have a good background where there's nothing distracting, and yep, there's that apple juice, the power cord for your Apple iPads in the background, and it's kind of distracting from the doll itself. Good example. Another challenge is to learn to take pictures through frames. Here you can see in the photo on the left, which was taken after Hurricane Ivan, I took pictures through the frames of an old boardwalk of what was left of that pier there. Interesting story. If you take a look at the blue background right there in the center of that building, the wall was completely ripped out. But just to the left of that wall, there is a stack of styrofoam cups sitting on a shelf that never moved during the entire hurricane. The wall was blown out, the styrofoam cups never budged. On the right hand side, I've got a photo of an old student of mine, David Beck Shank, who is catching a football, and he is framed by the student hiking the football. I didn't watch my background very good though, because there's some other boys over here that just kind of make for a distracting background in the photograph. Sadly, David is no longer with us. Adeline Collins did a good example of shooting through frames where she shot through a post in one of, you can see the circle back here for that post. She used a post to frame up her subject right here to make a really cool image. Another important thing to do is you want to take and watch for pictures to tell a story. This story's picture was about a mission trip that we took with my church group a number of years ago, where the students were working on a farm to raise good food to feed to the people in the neighborhoods who could not afford to get good food. Sad fact, bad food is cheap, like Twinkies and stuff, but good food like produce, very expensive to eat. An example that we got from Harley Barnhill was this one, where apparently this couple just got themselves engaged, and after getting engaged they went for a Dolphin Island dinner cruise, and you can see them just sitting there soaking up the sunset. This puppy also got a great story here. Look at how that puppy is being distracted by that bee. I sure hope it didn't get stung. That's going to be it for this presentation. Something you need to remember, old Ansel Adams had said, you don't take a photograph, you make one. Make sure that the photographs you are making are truly worth showing off.